Hello students. So good evening everyone. Can I get a confirmation from you all in the chat box if you are able to see the whiteboard? Is it possible to get a
Yes, sir.
yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. So students, today our main program will be how to write answers. So I'll guide you on the writing answers in your examination. Now students, if you observe this is the question paper, what we are going to do, and I will help you on how to handle this paper as well. Now, this paper, what we are going to do is generally based on a past paper, which I was able to amend it according to our situation. So students, let's start going through this question. Now, students, if you look at the exams of today's situation, you need to understand that you need to work while you are reading. You can't just read and go, you need to work while you are reading. So in this case, students, let's start applying the ideas first. Firstly, in the case of Nolan gas acquires happy place. So a student who has studied the case study only will know there is a party called what, students? Nolan gas acquires happy place. That is our company. Evaluate the impact to the stakeholders and the consequences to Hottayr. Effectively, they are giving you how many marks? 60 marks. And the second one, secondly, in the case if the board of directors of Hottayr refuses the proposal with the objective of securing their roles, evaluate the ethical issues also. That means here they are refusing their roles, this object, just to protect their position in their board. So ethical issue, and here, if I am not mistaken, students, the impact to the stakeholders. Now, the biggest challenge in strategic case study examination is the paper is always vague. The questions are vague. So vague means in simple language, very indirect. It is not direct. Very what, students? Indirect, very indirect. That means now if you observe in management case study or operational case study, generally while reading the requirement, you will understand whether it is asking for what. But in this case, it's very indirect, students, very indirect. You need to work and understand what they want. So the best strategy what you can do is read the requirement, and from the requirement, please try to take out the data. Now, in case if Nolan gas acquires happy place, evaluate the impact to stakeholders and the consequences to Hottayr. So I'll write down here a very, very simple application.
Sir, I have a doubt. Happy places are competitor.
Sorry. It's not happy place. Sorry for that. It is Hottayr, our company.
Oh, okay, sir.
Sorry. Thank you for telling that. It is Hottayr. I'll correct it and resend. It is Hottayr. So students, understand it very clearly. Nolan is acquiring our company, which is Hottayr. Now, students, understand the application very, very, very well. That Nolan Gas is one of our gas supplier and Hottayr is our company. Now, students, let's start doing the application. So it's not so complicated. It's very, very, I can say, indirect. Nolan Gas acquiring Hottayr. Nolan Gas acquiring Hottayr. So that is one major point of view. Nolan Gas acquiring which company, students? Hottayr. So I believe it is very, very easier to understand. And they are not asking you advantages or disadvantages. They are very, very direct towards impact to stakeholders. Impact to stakeholders. Stakeholders means people who are connected to our business decisions, and consequences. impact to the stakeholders, and consequences. Consequences means what can happen in the case of this acquisition, stakeholder impact and the consequences. Now, that is effectively 60 percentage. Now, students, if I say this question is 34 marks, if it is 60 percentage, somewhere around 20 marks is reflected in this. That is the basic point of view. And then students, if I am not mistaken, I'll come to the second one. Secondly, in case if the board of directors of Hottayr refuses the proposal with the objective of securing their roles, that means they are somewhat trying to avoid this, but the intention is not shareholders to secure their position. So I'll write down here, refusal of the proposal to secure the role of the board. That means they want to secure their jobs. So that is effectively 40%. So 40% means, students, indirectly, it is somewhere around 14 marks. Let's make an assumption. So students, now let's go through the detailed aspect of this. But students, just asking, a student who generally studied in a theory-based learner, that means a traditional learner who only learns the concepts and try to connect the concept, I'll ask a question, if I'm not mistaken. Anushka, do you get any concepts in your mind when you observe the first requirement? Any theory concepts, is it coming to your mind?
Oh, not really, sir. I can't directly relate to.
Not directly. Anyone in the class, were you able to grasp any theoretical areas from the first one?
Like I can
So
connect and see who the stakeholders are, but then I don't see a direct application of any of the theories.
understood. Secondly, if I'm not mistaken, the ethical issue, one thing a student can generally guess out ethics. That is
Yes,
one
sir.
thing that the students can effectively guess, ethics. So I can generally, this section, generally students will score some of marks. But in the SCS, it is little bit different, but you can score. But this section is a purely a vague question. Vague question is a very indirect question, students. So students, I will get your confirmation and I'm just going to read the above situation. Dr. Eva has sent you the following mail. This is highly confidential. The board of directors of Nolan Gas has sent us an email regarding their future acquisition plan of which company, students? Hottayr. Please refer the attachment in the reference material. So Nolan is telling that they are going to acquire our company Hottayr. So let's go through this in detail. Proposal to acquire Hottayr. We are pleased to inform you that we are planning to acquire Hottayr. The main objective of this strategy is to make sure the gas supply is stable. So they are very, very direct. Their objective is not growth or anything. Their indirect objective is synergy, because they want to somewhat make sure their gas is getting sold in the market. Because in the case, if there are more heat pumps, it is directly affecting the revenue stream of our company, because heat pumps does not use gas. So effectively, Nolan gas will have a bigger issue. Therefore, in the case, if we acquire, we can manage the supply chain and exploit the opportunity further. Also, the government can be managed since we have some former politicians in our board. Also, since the company is listed in the stock market, we can directly buy the shares from the shareholders, since there is no one stable shareholders at the moment. I believe you will be providing me all the support internally. Therefore, we will make sure after acquisition you can remain in the board. That means they are also giving them an opportunity that even after acquisition, you can still remain in the board. Now here they are saying these guys are refusing to secure their role. Even if they acquire also, they will secure their role. Very contradicting sentences. Because if they acquire, still they will get, but it's an inducement. But even if they refuse with the objective of securing the role of the board, again, it's a self-interest. Are you understanding that? Can I get a confirmation from you all in the chat box? This is known as dilemma. This is only known as dilemma. In both the cases, you are getting the job. So this is known as dilemma. So it's very, very complicated in the exam day to think. Are you understanding, Anushka, how it works out?
Yes,
Because
sir.
it's not very directly saying, because even if you accept also, you will get the job. And the question is saying you are refusing to secure your role. So it's a dilemma. Again, it's a dilemma. So you need to handle the questions very diplomatically. Now, students, Anushka, can you recall any technical models or frameworks after reading these questions?
For ethical issues, I can
Say
like
the code of
recall
ethics, the code of ethics.
code of ethics.
Other than that, any other models came to your mind while
Um,
reading the question?
not really, sir.
Any other students in the class, any models that reflected in your mind, if I'm not mistaken? Any students in the class, any models that came to your mind? I'm getting some answers. No one got any models in your mind. Priscilla, aren't you getting any models, technical models in your mind?
I don't, I was thinking, I did one which was having a diverse board of directors.
No, I'm not telling anything like that. I believe you got the question clearly. Like in MCS, you know models, right? Target costing, pageant
Yeah.
costing, like that.
Okay,
Did you
okay.
get any models specifically in this case? No, right? So
No.
Anushka, can I confirm that no one is getting a direct model? So
Yes,
the first
sir.
mistake students does in the exam and why they lose the confidence is they try to recall models rather than applying to the situation. That is the first mistake. Students, are you understanding what I'm telling you? If you go to the examination and if you are breaking your head that I studied everything and I went, I'm not able to connect anything, so I can't do this paper properly, that is the first mistake of your mindset. Can I get a double Y in the chat box if you understood it very, very clearly, students? If you don't get any model in your mind, you will pass for sure. If you are thinking, what model is this? I can't even connect anything to what I studied in the FLP platform or in the anything, it's affecting my brain. So understand that effectively, students, that is what I'm mentioning here. So students, can I write down a disclaimer if you're not mistaken? So I'll write down a disclaimer so that it will be very, very, very clear in the day one itself. You must study. I'm not saying not to study, but disclaimer is the first mistake students make is trying to connect what students, technical what students, models or framework for a vague question, for a vague question. Students, are you believe it is very clear for you at the moment? So can I get a confirmation from you all in the chat box if you are clear with this point of view? If you are
Yes,
clear with
sir.
this point, thank you. Now, students, I'll just tell you some models so that it will be better for you to understand. So one model, if I'm not mistaken, Anushka, not at all directly applied, but can be used in the answers also. They are not using any models. One model that can be used is something called Mendelov.
Yes, sir.
Now, if you see Mendelov matrix is generally stakeholder management, but it's not stakeholder management, just stakeholder identification. Correct, no, Anushka, in
Yes,
simple
sir.
language. High P player, minimal effort, keep informed and keep satisfied. So in simple language, students, it's just an identification, but actually a student, a student who has gone through all the model will write Mendelov matrix here and will not be able to pass. Are you clear with what I'm saying? Now, the second technical model that a student should not memorize but should understand is this type of takeover is known as what? What is this
Hostile takeover.
hostile takeover. This is known as hostile takeover. So students, hostile takeover, I'll just explain to you all so that it will be very clear. So students, now I'll take you to a website. Anushka, can you see this website? Is it possible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This is the stock market website of Sri Lanka. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll just guide you. If I want to take over Lanka Indian Oil Corporation, how I should do is, what is the ask price today? 205.75. If I and 75 people wants to sell. Okay. So
Okay.
if I want to buy anyway, for 205 is the cap value. I can, if I put 210, definitely I'll get all the stocks. Are you understanding what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, if you see Dialog GSM, they are selling 12,260 shares. If I just put 10 rupees, I can buy
Yes,
off all the
can-
shares. So that is only effectively known as, students, in simple language, the hostile takeover. Can I quickly get a confirmation from you all in the chat box if you understood that, students, just to show you? Buy, it is their price is 205.75. If I just adjust this price to 210, just a suggestion, I can easily buy it. You got what I'm saying, right, students? So can I get a confirmation from you all in the chat box, students, if you understood the real life application of the hostile takeover? This is how it's going forward, students. This is the reality, and it's a nice way to learn practically. So it's a good way of learning as well. Okay, now students, coming backwards to this situation. Now, what I will do is, I'll just guide you now. If you see, students, it's 20 marks, and here it is 14 marks. Now, if you go with the management case study logic, in the management case study logic, how, if it is 20 marks, means you need to develop at least 10 paragraph, correct? No, Anushka, but it was for 25 marks question. This is a 34 marks question.
Yes,
Are
sir.
you clear with that? So practically speaking, you can't write very long at the end of the day. The truth is that even if
Yes,
you look
sir.
at the suggested answers, the valuation of number of marks in the suggested answers or the content of the marks is still similar to the management case study. I believe you would have observed that, students.
Yes, sir.
Now, students, again, I'm repeating very, very practically that at the end of the day, what matters is how your answers are connected, interconnected. So, example, when you're writing impact to the stakeholders, you need to prioritize the stakeholder order. If you just write by mugging up by one points, media, like that, if you write, you won't get marks. It should be like a story. Starting till end, it should be interconnected. Now, the second one is, students, if I'm not mistaken, refusal of the proposal to secure the role of the board. And once again, you need to tell the ethical issues that is associated with that, so that you will be able to score properly in the examination. Okay, students, let's start working on this very directly. Now, if you see, in case Nolan Gas acquiring Hottayr, can you tell me who are the stakeholders that will generally get affected?
So
In simple,
shareholders.
shareholders, frankly speaking, mm, I can say they are the people who is selling, right? You get what I'm
So
saying?
yes, I am getting, but what my point was that, sir, because like what I thought was Norland Gas is like trying to focus on gas boilers, sir, which if you see in few years is gonna come to an like it will go to a decline stage, sir, because as you see more people are pushing towards like becoming more environmental friendly. So heat pumps and other things is the future. So if stakeholders like shareholders don't understand this, or we fail to make them understand this, I feel that they are the people who will get most affected, because and in the end their money that is being lost, sir. So that is how I thought like shareholders will be the people who will most get affected.
Very good way of thinking, correct also. So that is a good point of view of thinking. I can write that also. So frankly speaking, shareholders will get affected because wealth maximization potential is affected, correct?
Yes, sir.
So that is correct, no students, the wealth maximization potential. Now that's a good point and it's a vague point also, because the reason is very judgmental. Correct, no Anushka,
Yes,
if
sir.
I'm not mistaken. Very
Yes.
judgmental, because there is a concept called bird in hand theory. I'll just write it down.
Yes, sir.
So if you observe in bird in hand theory, students, don't worry, the theory will get completed. So in the bird in hand theory, now I'll just again go to the stock market. Okay, can I just show with an example?
Yes.
So students, if you go to the stock market, now if you see the stock market, everything is green color. Do you observe that, students? Everything is what, students?
Green.
Green. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Now you see Dilma tea, it's a Ceylon tea. The buy sentiment is how much? 100%. That means anyone will buy. You get what I'm saying, Anushka. That means
Yes, sir.
if I'm going to sell 2 stocks of this, everyone will buy it. That's the understanding of buy sentiment. Is that clear?
Oh, yes, sir.
So if I sell it, I can easily get a huge capital gain, because the bid price is 151. If you had bought, if you have bought it like a while ago, and this is 182. So do you see there's a huge spread, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes, sir.
So students, this is where, in simple language, the person makes the income. Are you understanding? So
Yes,
there
sir.
will be shareholders, practically speaking, very few in these countries will keep share for a long period, like in America. In America, all they keep it for a long period and they sell it. But in countries like India, Sri Lanka, all, they want to make money fast. Correct, no, Anushka, in simple
Yes,
language.
sir.
So it depends on the clientele effect of the shareholder. That means what the shareholder wants at the end of the period. So students, can I get a confirmation from you all if you got that bird in hand theory? Bird in hand theory is you try to sell the bird when it's inside your hand instead of it's flying away from your hand. So I think it's very clear. Thank you. Thank you. So students, next stakeholder, who will be the next stakeholder who will get affected?
Customers, sir.
Customers is a very poor, I can say, verb considering a finance manager. I can say effectively we know them, right? If I'm not mistaken, that is more than the customers. Employees, no, not employees. It is large builders. Correct me if I'm wrong, Anish.
Yes, sir.
The large builders will get definitely affected. Correct. And then there is something called building merchants. Correct, Anushka.
Yes, sir.
And then, if I'm not mistaken, installers. Correct, no, Anushka. Because they
Yes,
recommend.
sir. Yes, sir.
And then finally, it will go to whom? The customer.
Customer.
Because customer doesn't know anything about this. Correct.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So these guys will ask questions. We want our customers to get the best service for their new houses. And why are you not supplying heat pumps? And why are you only giving gas boilers? Correct? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So the impact will be, there will be shift to flow nice. Shift to which company, students?
So
Flow
nice.
nice. Are you understanding what I'm saying there, students? It can go to flow nice also. Can I get a confirmation from you all? One thing, it will go to flow nice, because flow nice is an extremely premium brand. And if flow nice is producing heat pumps for the market, it goes to the flow nice hands. Correct, no, students? Very
Yes, sir.
practical, very practical, very much understandable also. Agree, no? Now the next thing, students, if I'm not mistaken, it shift to the flow nice. And the next one, students, if I'm not mistaken, let's even think more practically and more technically also. The other shareholders that gets affected is the government. Correct, no, Anushka? The stakeholder. Because government policy is encouraging reducing the carbon emission, focus
Yes,
on
sir.
renewable energy. All those things are getting affected. And oil and gas taking over this company frankly speaking, that will have a bigger impact to the reputation of our company, because they will never change Hottayr's brand.
Yes, sir.
The brand will be same. Now, example, Anushka, you go to Starbucks India, no one knows it's a joint alliance of Tata, correct?
Yes, sir.
People go to Starbucks, just consume, and something wrong happens in their quality, people will be in Tata or Starbucks.
Starbucks.
Definitely Starbucks. Students, I believe you understand what I'm mentioning there. Can I get a confirmation from you all in the chat box if you are clear with this stakeholder impact also? If you are clear with that stakeholder impact. And one thing, students, I can also add employees. That is also a possible point of view to write it also. So I believe everyone is getting the order of this answer properly. It's very, very practical, if I'm not mistaken. So in the exam day, your mind should be free to think. If your mind is having all the jargons, formulas, technical knowledge, your common sense will end up into system thinking. System thinking is not applied by higher level. You understand what I'm saying, no, Anishka? For
Yes, sir.
example, when you're working in a bank front office manager, you are a system thinker. You
Yes,
think
sir.
according to the system only. But if you are working in the strategic level in the organization, you should think beyond the system. And many companies fail because they handpick the system thinkers for their discipline. But in the top management, it is more about free thinking. Like if you look at Donald Trump is a free thinker in simple language, but Joe Biden is a free thinker or a system thinker. System
System.
thinker, because he is thinking according to the system and he can't do anything. Now, I think America is experiencing a worst hardship also. And even if you observe, if I'm not mistaken, students, the former Prime Minister, Liz Truss, was purely a system thinker. And she could not handle the pressure of the recession taking place. And that's what she was automatically going to resign and gave it to the next person. So students, are you understanding this order? I will develop the answer, you don't worry. But initially I'm doing the working for you. Any questions you have in this, you can ask me, but I will guide you properly in writing the answers well. So can I get a confirmation from you all in the chat box if you are clear with this aspect of writing? Thank you very much, students. Excellent. Now, refusal of the proposal to secure the role of the board. Now, in this case, let's assume a little bit of ethics. Now, this knowledge is not there in your textbook, but this is how we need to apply our ethics in the case study, because these three situations are always tested. One is known as personal ethics. Now, personal ethics also comes into the exam. Now, personal ethics means one person will be vegetarian or one person will be non-vegetarian, correct? So vegetarian and non-vegetarian, if I'm not mistaken, students, is that a personal issue, students? Yes or no? Completely right, students,
Yes,
if I'm
sir.
not mistaken. So certain times personal ethics may come into a situation, and countries specifically like in the UK, they are not concerned about personal life of an individual when it comes to work. But when you look at India, Anushka, I think there is no privacy. Correct, no,
Yes,
Anushka?
sir.
Yes or no? You will
Yes,
get
sir.
personal news. When someone get baby, they will put headlines.
Yes.
So students understand it very clearly, students. So personal ethics is generally not concerned. So they will give you a situation of personal ethics in your examination. So try to make sure you are able to differentiate, because some students who memorize, they will write a technical answer for personal ethics. So be very careful. Then the next one is known as professional ethics. Now, professional ethics, students, in this case, we are accountants, correct, no, students? In this case, we are accountants. Now, as accountants, Not only CIMA, that the body for accounting, everything, CIMA, ACCA, anything, CPA, all are controlled by the final body called IFAC, International Federation of Accountants. So they only have code of ethics, that only they have mentioned CIMA code of ethics. According to IFAC, the code of ethics are what? You need to have something called integrity. Correct, no, students?
Integrity.
Yes,
Yes,
sir, no,
sir.
sir. I'll write down here integrity. Integrity means, students, application of honesty. You understand what I'm saying? Application of honesty. Now, example, Anushka, in simple language, your track record is purely good. That means you are not integrity, you are honest. But
Yes.
integrity means you have an opportunity to do a fraud or hide some facts. That is the application, integrity. Then the next very important thing is known as confidentiality, because you need to be very careful with the financial information or company specific information. You should never reveal it to third party. And after confidentiality, students, we have the next one, if I'm not mistaken, objectivity. Objectivity means, students, in simple language, you need to make direct decisions. You need not make any biased decisions. It should be without any self-interest or familiarity interest, direct decision. Then you have something called professional behavior. Professional behavior. Now, in simple language, students, professional behavior starts from the mannerism of how you dress, how you talk, and how you behave in a public situation. And after that, students, if I'm not mistaken, professional competence and what, students? Due care. This is extremely important for our sector, because gas boiler and heat pumps, we need to be 100% professionally competent and having the due care. The reason is, students, in case if we not have the due care or the competence, there is high level of chances that we will end up in what, students? Legal litigations, injuries, damages to the people's properties, because it's sensitive, I understand it. Now, students, these are the threats also you can just recall. So one threat everyone is known as self-interest. This is the most dangerous threat, self-interest threat, because self-interest threat is, students, you are making decision considering yourself. And then there is something called, in simple language, familiarity threat. That is, you know someone, your cousin, your wife, your spouse, you are supporting them using your job. That is familiarity threat. And then, students, if I'm not mistaken, after familiarity threat, self-interested, there is something called self-review threat. Now, students, observe it very clearly. Self-review threat is you're not allowing an audit to take place. You don't want to give an independent audit. So that is known as self-review threat. And then you have something called advocacy threat. Advocacy threat. Advocacy threat means you know that your clients or your stakeholders are committing a mistake, but you conceal the facts. So that is known as advocacy threat. Example, in your company, your employees committed a crime, but you're hiding it. Why? Because your company reputation will get affected. That is only known as advocacy threat. And the final one we call is as the intimidation threat. That is the threat that takes place because of bullying. They will be coming to your place and they will be doing a coercion by force. They will be asking, manhandling will be taking place. They will be offensively taking your point of view. So students, are you clear with the professional ethics? So personal ethics, vegetarian or non-vegetarian. Professional ethics is your job, what you're doing. Now doctors have their ethics, teachers have their ethics, army, police, all they have their professional ethics. The next one is known as the business ethics. Now, if you observe, this is a very controversial area. Now, when we ask anyone, cigarette business is ethical or not ethical, 90% will say it is not ethical, correct? But
Yes,
actually, students, it's ethical. It is ethical. The reason is why cigarette business is ethical. They have already made the awareness. Cigarette smoking is what?
injuries.
Cancer. Injurious to health. Awareness is done. And the second thing is they pay tax. If cigarette companies close down, governments of many countries will become bankrupt. Are you understanding what I'm saying there, Anushka?
Yes, sir.
Because you observe majority of the developing countries, their major income comes from alcohol and
Alcohol.
cigarette. So if I ask anyone, is McDonald's a ethical business? All will say yes. But actually, McDonald's is not ethical. Why? The reason is they have not made any awareness. No awareness made. Correct or not correct, students? Yes or no?
Yes.
No awareness made. Chocolate business, purely unethical. The reason is, students, did they make any awareness of the sugar content that is affecting your body health? No one, right? No one made
Yes.
an awareness. So students, are you clear with this ethical issue and non-ethical issue, students? Can I quickly get a confirmation from you all in the chat box if you are clear with this, students? Now, this is your mind. So what happens is generally students fail in this section. Now, Anushka, now let's assume one of your director, okay,
Yes, sir.
has involved in domestic violence in his house. Okay, one of your
Yes,
director
sir.
has involved in domestic violence in his house. Now, I am asking you a very practical question. In a case that person has involved in domestic violence in a house, is that affecting the business or it is his personal life? It is his
Personal.
personal life, right? One
Yes.
person is, after work, he goes and drinks a lot of alcohol and he's addicted to alcohol. Is that personal ethics or it's relating to business? Personal, right?
Personal.
So
Yes.
students, are you understanding the difference between personal ethics here, students? Because you need to understand, if you observe, Anushka, like countries like India all are very backwards because personal is considered in everything. Correct me if I'm wrong, Anushka.
Yes,
Yes
sir.
or no? So students, can I get a double Y in the chat box if you understood the situational thinking, students? Can I get the point of view if you are clear with that? Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, the direct question I'm asking from the class. In our situation, what the board of directors are facing is personal, professional, or business. What ethics they are facing?
Professional.
Professional, correct. Because they are directors. Directors are considered as stewards of the business. Stewards means they are the caretakers of the business. They don't own the business, they take care of the business. So when they are taking care of the business, they should always take care of the business to maximize the wealth of the
Shareholder.
investors. Correct. So that is a professional ethics. Now let's assume, Anushka, you are working for a company like Nolan Gas.
Yes, sir.
This decision is professional, personal, or business ethics for Nolan Gas. It is not in our requirement of the question, but I just want you all to think in dimensions. In the dimension point of view of Nolan Gas, acquiring Hottayr, is that what issue? Do you feel an ethical issue? It's okay, you are saying. Did
I
you
think
feel
it's a there is an ethical issue, sir. I think it's business ethics.
it's a business ethics, right,
Ethics.
students?
Yes.
Because you are controlling the market using your financial wealth. Are you understanding what I'm saying, students? This is only a business ethical issue. Are you understanding, students, how that varied? In the point of view of our directors, it was a professional ethics. But if you observe in the point of view, if you are an employee working at Nolan Gas, what Nolan Gas does is effectively a point of view of business ethics. They are going beyond the control of that. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, everyone is very, very, very clear with the writing structure of these ethical way of thinking. Okay. Now, students, coming to the next one. Now, let's assume the directors accept this proposal, sorry, refuses this proposal. but their main objective of refusing this proposal is not shareholders, just to make sure to get a good name from the shareholders and to survive their lifetime. I believe everyone got that point of view clearly. So my
Yes, sir.
question is, what did they break? What are the code of ethics they break? Or is that an ethical issue or non-ethical issue? That is the
It is an ethical issue, sir. They have definitely broken objectivity, sir,
correct.
because they're personally biased. Like they're putting their self-interest first. So they want their job secure. They want a life, like how their salary, all this over the lifetime. So
Of
they are
course.
taking a decision based on that, sir. So
Excellent.
one thing could be that, and
Any others? Others also you can get involved, students. Yeah. Can I say one more thing? If I'm not mistaken, they are also breaching the integrity also. The reason is they're not honest. Correct,
yes,
no,
sir.
Anushka?
Yes,
Because
sir.
if you are indirect, see all these are interconnected. Do you
Correct.
observe
Yes,
what
sir.
I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes.
When they are going against their biasness, indirectly they are not honest also. Correct, no,
Yes, sir.
students? If I'm not
Yes, sir.
mistaken, that affects the integrity
Integrity.
because the shareholders have a trust on them and they are against it. And the last one is being in a listed company, knowing all the corporate governance rules and regulation, and still you're acting like this, is you have even lost your professional behavior also.
Behavior.
Correct, no, students? So
Yes, sir.
so students, can I get a confirmation from you all in the chat box if you are clear with this point of view, students? Thank you very much, students. Thank you very much, students. So I believe it is very, very, very clear for the students. And effectively, if they go like this, I think it will be not a good way to just take it in their point of view to safeguard their jobs. So that will definitely affect themselves. So that is the correct answer. So students, I'll just write down the point. Objectivity is affected, correct, no, students? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Then the integrity is getting affected, correct, no, student? And the last one that is getting affected is professional behavior.
Behavior.
Professional behavior. Professional behavior. Professional behavior. Students, I believe this is very, 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 very important to understand. Now, a success or failure of a country or anywhere is how much their internal culture is set up. Correct, no, Anushka, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
Anushka, you see, even in India, there are very good colleges, very good universities. One thing you can observe is their culture, right? What do you think, Anushka, at the end of the
Yes,
day?
sir.
Safety is there, you will feel it very safety. Things
Yes,
are not getting stolen, correct? No harassments
yes,
are
sir.
not there. So, students, I believe the main success of the developed countries, especially the countries like UK, USA, everything, is they are mostly focusing on these three values, which is making their country more prosperous and more safer for their citizens. So students, since everything is clear at the moment, can I give you the guidance of structuring your answers now? Because the first thing what we did was brainstorming. We connected the points. And why I'm doing like this on the screen is when you go to the examination, students, when you have written something in the screen, you can easily continue very fast with the flow, because my point of view is that. Now, children, can I start guiding you how the examination is marked? So they don't mark the
Yes.
paper like MBA paper. They don't read the points and mark and go. The examiner marks the point in the holistic view. In what view, students? Holistic view.
Holistic.
Holistic view means overall, what is the message? Overall, what is the message? Anushka, just asking from you, do you have a habit of reading books?
I'm not really
No,
sure.
no, right? So,
No.
students, if you have a habit of reading books, you will understand certain books don't even have a message. It is just a book. Certain book effectively has that holistic view. You will not feel to stop reading that book. You will, once you read one chapter, your mind will tell, read the second chapter. That is the quality of writing. Are you understanding what I'm saying, Anushka? Now, if you
Yes,
look
sir.
at your study text, honestly tell me, when you read one chapter, will it give you the motivation to you? Look at the second chapter, like the
No,
next
sir.
part, KGF part 3 is coming. No, nothing won't come. So that will be the understanding. So you should give the impression to the reader that it should be full of suspense. You need to guess, you need to make the reader guess what will happen next, what will happen next. And then you should end up with a very solid conclusion. It's like a cinema script. It's like a cinema script. Now, if you see the cinema script, the success or a failure of a movie, more than the actors or anything, is the script writers, because they are like not coming to the main frame, but they write the script. The more the quality or the holistic view of the script, the film will become a successful movie. So, students, can I quickly get a double Y in the checkbox if you are understanding this very clearly, students? Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, students, the second thing is how the paper is marked. Now, examiner says he will read the answer fully and he will marks in levels. So I'll teach you how level wise it is marked so that it is very clear. There is something called level 0. Level 0 means your answer has no connection to the question requirement. Then you have level 1. Then you have something called level 2. And then something you have called level 3. Now, students, level 1, I'll write down very simple theory dumping. There are some students now, if you have done degree, you will understand, you will anyway pass by dumping theory. Correct, no, Anushka? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Something you write, definitely you will pass. That is the logical understanding. So theory dumping is not accepted here. So remember that that is outside the scope. Level 1 students is connect a good concept. You are writing hostile takeover. Correct, Anushka? Example,
Yes.
I am giving. You are writing about hostile takeover. You are just saying this hostile takeover. You are giving a basic sentence, references. Okay. Frankly speaking, hostile takeover is related to our situation. Correct, no, students? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Or in simple language, you are writing what is integrity meaning. Integrity meaning is related to our situation. Yes or no? Agree, no,
Yes,
students?
sir. Yes, sir.
Now, instead of writing integrity anything, you are not writing anything related to the code. You are just exaggerating the answer without the content. So, students, basic references, you will get level 1. Now you are connecting the concept. So in simple language, as a conclusion, I can say this is the what element, what you are going to say, and why it is relevant. Again, understand it very clearly. Why it is what, students? Why it is what, students? Relevant to Hottayr. Why it is relevant to what, students?
Hottayr.
Hottayr. So in the why it is relevant to Hottayr, what we are going to effectively write down is a very, very basic point of view, very, very basic sentences, very, very basic point of view. In that, I will write down impact to the company, or impact to the company of the hostile takeover. What can happen? And integrity, I'm going to say why I think it is an integrity, because that is very, very important, because we have to say this is a listed company, the shareholders have trusted us and given us them to care their properties to us. So we are breaching that. That is the connection, how you are connecting your concept to the company. And in simple language, students, in simple language, the level 3 is consequences. Consequences with a result. Now, consequences means if you breach the integrity, the consequences will be the shareholders sometimes may remove you from the board. Correct, no, Anushka? Yes
Yes,
or
sir.
no? And the second thing that can happen is you will not be getting a job in another company also. Agree or not agree, students?
Yes,
Yes
sir.
or no? So this is the justification of the end. You need to justify your answers. So students, don't worry, I'll just connect it more in detail and show. So if it is a marking, for just theory dumping, you get 0. For writing a concept, a basic concept. Okay, now let's assume question number uh, uh, question number 2. Question number 1. Let's assume question number 1, 20 marks. So 20 marks students, if it is level 1, the examiner will divide it by 3. So 20 divided by 3, students, in simple language, that will be effectively somewhere around 6.25, if I'm not mistaken, or
Yes, sir.
6.5. So students, in that case, if I'm not mistaken, students, what will happen is you'll get around 6 marks if your answer is in what? Level 1, 6 out of 20. But if it is level 2, it will jump to 13 out of how much? 20.
20.
And if it is well justified answer, which is a holistic answer, it will end up in how much marks? 20 marks. So they are not going to give you marks basically on points. They are going to give you the marks on how detailedly you have justified with the situation. Are you understanding the marking style, students? So generally, a student in the CIMA examination, the majority falls in between these two, 6 and 13, but very few goes to what, students? The 20 marks. Students, can I get a confirmation from you all in the chat box if you are able to get the marking style? It's not marked based on your points what you're writing. Even if you write a very short answer which is connected but giving a good impression, still you will get the 20 out of 20. Students, I believe everything is very, very clear for you. And one thing, students, examiner is very kind. He knows that the students are doing the exams with time pressure. So he will always support the students. And even if you write sometimes less, but very well justified, you will be able to score the full marks. So students, let's start writing. So shall we start writing? Definitely. So students, let's start writing the answer. Now, if you observe, students, the question 1, shareholders affecting well. So I'll write down a basic introduction. So I'll write down a basic introduction. The following may be the impact to the stakeholders in case if this acquisition takes for students place. Students, shall we start working the answer? Can I get a Y in the chat box,
Yes,
students,
sir.
if you're fine? Yeah. Now, the structural writing is you can start with firstly, secondly, thirdly, additionally, for instance. After that, in contrast, like that, you need to connect your writing skill. Are you understanding what I'm saying, Anushka? Now, you are
Yes,
writing
sir.
shareholders and just writing, that's fine, that's fine. But that is not giving that holistic feeling. That is just giving a technical feeling. You understand what I'm saying, Anushka?
Yes, sir.
Now, I think certain students would have experienced in your office, certain professionals, specifically in UK, when you ask them something, they write very, very well. Their writing is so clear that a telephone conversation is not even needed. Have you observed certain writings like that, Anushka? They write in an orderly manner. That is
Yes, sir.
extremely clear for the person also. So I'll write down here firstly, shareholders will be affected by this acquisition. Now you are just writing this sentence. That is what? What do you think? Do you get any marks? No, you don't get much marks. Are you understanding? Now I'm going to
Yes.
connect the relevance. Since their earnings potential may have a greater yield in the future. Since considering the trend for the heat pumps and the growth in the heat pumps, it can be understood that the firm can have better growth with the current strategy. Come on. So I will just write down the very important thing. So what Y is done, and then students, the consequences. This may have a very high opportunity cost for the shareholders, and they may also claim that the board of directors didn't educate them. The board of directors did not educate them, definitely. So I'm going to give you a discussion also. However, this is also very subjective, since certain investors may prefer to sell off to get the realization of wealth. Now, Anushka, can you remember I showed you a
Yes,
page,
sir.
right? In that,
Yes, sir.
whatever the money is there, it's not realized. Paper money. The money is
Yes.
floated. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If you have money in the bank account, it is realized money, because when you put the ATM card, you will get the money, correct? But in the
Yes,
stock
sir.
market, it's not like that, students. It is a paper wealth. So realization of wealth is one thing. So I'll just write down here the results. Therefore, the results can be generally considered in the direction of the clientele factors. Clientele factors means, students, the what majority expects, that is only known as the clientele factor. So students, I'll just write down one small thing. Students, a small adjustment. So I said good concept. I'll write down here good concept with relevance. So level 1 is good concept with what, students? Relevance. Are you understanding what I'm saying, Anushka? Just a small thing. Now see, this is a relevance. Okay, good concept with relevance. And in simple language, students, if I am not mistaken, here I can just write down here consequences of that relevance. Consequences of that relevance. And the last one, I can just say results of the consequences. Results of the consequences. Students, are you understanding that, students? So in simple language, if I want to color this, I will do like this. Level 1, in my coding language, it is red color ink. Are you understanding what I'm saying, Anushka?
Yes,
The
sir.
level 1 sentence is red color. Level 0, that is this black color, you won't get marks. But that is essential to make sure your answer is very attractive to the examiner. And then students, level 2, I can give the color of green. I can give the color of green. And the level 3, I can effectively give the color of what, students? Please tell me. In
Blue.
simple, blue. Students, that means a student has written until here and completed the answer, he will effectively get 1/3 of the total marks. A student has written the green, he will get around 2/3. But the end, which is very important, which will be the last one. Now, students, I will give you another very good technique how to build your answers. Now, students, if you see who is going to be our second, I can say the stakeholders, these people, right?
Builders.
Our
Yes, sir.
builders, merchant, installers, we can club that together. So I'll write down a clientele factor. Further, this can affect the network of distribution chain. Network of distribution chain. Students, are you understanding that sentence clearly, students? The network of distribution chain can be affected. The network of distribution chain can be affected. I believe everyone is very clear. Now, why I mentioned the network of distribution chain? Because what will be my next paragraph? It will be about whom? Network of distribution chain. Students, don't worry. You will understand this writing. This is a great skill you can master, students. One day you can end up as an author. Just understand it. This is how you connect things holistically. Like in the movies, one scene should have a connection to the next scene. Correct, no, Anushka, if I'm not
Yes, sir.
mistaken. Now, so I'll just write down here. Secondly, the network of distributors are one of the core competence we have capitalized. Correct, no, students? Yes or no? Since
Yes,
our products are generally reaching through the distributors, it is never going directly towards whom, students? Towards the consumer. It goes through the distributors. It goes through the distributors. Students, can I get a confirmation from you all in the chat box if you are able to understand that point of view very clearly, students? Thank you very much. Now, students, I will now connect our relevance. So I'm going to club this. Correct, no, Anushka? Yes or no?
Yes,
Do I
sir.
need to exaggerate this? No, no. Common
No,
sense.
sir.
Common sense and confidence. Because students, a student who is not confident will always doubt him. Whether did I write sufficient? No, you need to be confident, and you need to be confidential also. You should not tell whatever you do to others. The next thing, the main distributors are, if I'm not mistaken, large house builders. Correct, no, students? Yes,
Yes,
or
sir.
no? Yeah. Then you have something called building what, students? Merchants. Correct, no, students? Larger house builders, building merchants, and the other one, if I'm not mistaken, that is going to be installers, where we don't spend on marketing, where we don't spend on marketing. Correct or not correct, Anushka? Yes
Yes,
or no?
sir.
Now, students, I'm telling you, if you want to build a successful model, build the relationship with your people around you. Easily, you will not even spend on what, students? Marketing. So we don't spend on marketing. So this is a main reason for the business to have a better, I can say, stability. Since they are always concerned of the legacy we created. Correct, no, students? Yes or no? That plays the critical factor. Now, students, I'll just write down here. In case if we don't satisfy the demand, if they don't satisfy what, students? The demand. They will initially request. Correct, no, students? Initially what, students? Request. And in case if Nolan gas is only supplying gas boiler, is only supplying gas boiler, they may shift to the competitors. Correct, no students? Yes or no? In simple
Yes,
language,
sir.
that is flow nice. Agree, no students, if I'm not mistaken. Students, can I get a Y in the chat box if it is clear?
Yes,
So I
sir.
will just continue the final results. This will affect the market share and also the brand loyalty. Correct or not correct, students? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
That is attached to the client base we have. Full stop. That is the end consumer. So students, I believe even that gives a critical point. Now, students, even to make your answers even more clear and easier for you to understand, I am going to go with customers, correct, if I'm not mistaken. And Anushka, is it possible, can I connect customers and employees, club it together, Anushka? Yes or no?
Yes,
Because,
sir.
yeah, that I can make sure that I connect it properly. So I'll write down here, thirdly. So understand the structuring order. Thirdly, the customers may also accept whatever the referral made by the contractors. Correct, no students, if I'm not mistaken? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Definitely, definitely. And then I'll write down here, this is mainly because in the gas or heat pump industry, the customer does not have technical knowledge. And they generally, what students? Outsource. They generally, what students? Outsource. Students, can I get a confirmation from you all in the chat box if you are able to understand that point of view of that outsource? Excellent. Thank you very much. So children, I will continue the impact. This can cause a drop in the sales and also affect the cash flows. Correct, no students? Yes or no? Definitely. Okay. I'll continue a little different. Further, this cash shortage may result in downsizing the employees. Correct me if I'm wrong, students. Yes or no?
Yes.
Downsizing the employees. Agree, no students? Yes or no? Employees from the factory. And I'll just connect the relevance. Further, the employees may not feel to work for this company. Correct or not correct, students?
Yes,
Yes
sir.
or no? Work for this company. And we may also lose, I can say, quality staffs with intellectual capacity. Agree, no students? Yes or no? In simple language, intellectual capacity affecting the new technologies like Internet of Things. Agree, no students? New technologies such as Internet of Things, which is called the IoT. So students, I believe this has given a clarity. And I'm going to write down the finally the government. Yes or no, Anushka? Finally, the government. So it gives a very, very strong message when I put again a very, very powerful stakeholder at the end. Correct, no, Anushka?
Yes,
Yes
sir.
or no? So it's like an indirect warning. Finally, the government of Nolandia. Are you understanding how you mentioned it?
Yes.
So I'll just continue here. Has already made targets to minimize the carbon emission, and also has encouraged customers to shift to other sustainable sources. Correct or not correct, students? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Other sustainable sources. So students, I will continue this also. So I'll write down here. This will have a negative, I can say, negative, I can say, vibe between government and Hottayr, where the government can provide assistance to Thermwike. Yes or no, Anushka? Agree?
Yes, sir.
To improve the facilities and produce cheaper heat pumps. Agree, no, students? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
This can have a severe impact to the company. And finally, I will continue the end. The going concern or the reputation from 1952 till date can get affected. So I believe everyone has got that clearly. So students, this is only known as holistic writing. What is this, students? Holistic writing.
Okay.
That means, do you observe the answer is like a story? Do you feel that, Anushka? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Students, can I get a double Y in the chat box if you understood that? And how to improve the skills of this, I'll tell you. And there is something called Harvard Business Review, Anushka. Have you heard Harvard Business Review?
Yes, sir.
I in that newspapers, blogs, everything is very nicely structured. You can read those. And also students, you can go through Economist. There is one more thing, very, very nice articles. And also students, Medium. There is a international blogging platform called Medium. In that you can also get a lot of articles and improve the way of reading. So students, if I am not mistaken, can I come to the part B of the answer?
Yes, sir.
That is the code of ethics. Now, students again understand it very, very different code of ethics here. Because the dilemma is one thing that you have mentioned. The current situation for the shareholders, is, sorry, for the board of directors. For the board of directors is generally a dilemma, since if they accept the proposal of Nolan, they retain the what, students?
The
Position.
positions.
And in case if they refuse, they may what, students? They refuse,
They must-
sorry, for securing position, they may still be having some moral issue. Now, Anushka,
Yes, sir.
just to make yourself even very strong, Anushka,
Yes, sir.
students, ethics is, although the suggested answers are looking very easy, but in the practical, it's little bit tough. Dilemmas. Can I ask you one question, Anushka? What is ethics in your point of view? In general language, what is ethics, Anushka?
So doing the right thing.
Doing the right thing, correct? That is
Yes,
what
sir.
many people say, doing the right thing, but that is the wrong answer. But book-wise, that is the correct answer. But in real life, that is the wrong answer. Doing the right thing is a wrong answer. Priscilla, can you give me, based on your exposure, what is the practical answer? Anyone in the class? Doing the right thing is a wrong answer, but it's the correct textbook answer. But in ethical reason, it is a wrong answer. Anushka, any other answers? Or Reshma, anyone? Any answers that y'all can tell? Practical answers.
So doing the right thing with, I think, a justification of its own.
No, even that is also wrong.
So
The
doing
knowledge
something
of
which has a like helps everyone, something like that.
helps everyone. No,
Yes, sir. It
helps everyone is also wrong. And obey what your answer you have mentioned, knowledge of wrong or bad. That is also wrong. That is also wrong. Now, Anushka, I'll give you a real
Yes, sir.
case study examination. If my dilemma I faced in my career.
Yes, sir.
So I was a student who never got any exemption. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And anything, even CA or ACC, I never got any exemption. I cleared without any exemptions. And you may be knowing currently in India, in certain colleges, premium colleges, they give 9 papers exemption. Are you aware about that, Anushka?
Yes, sir.
Big exemptions.
Yes, sir.
So as a professional, I have a due care, right? If I'm not mistaken, I need to question the board and ACCA or this professional institution why you are doing this.
Yes, sir.
Correct? It's unethical and also, right? If I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yes, sir.
So they gave me a very solid answer. Doing the right thing is ethics, what you are saying, according to textbook. But actually, ethics is code of conduct of the majority. Code of conduct of what?
Majority.
Majority. I will even make it very transparent, just to make, I think other students will understand it very clearly. Now, if you see in Kerala, where I am staying, Anushka,
Yes, sir.
almost 90% is non-vegetarian, correct?
Yes, sir.
And Kerala state generally consume beef. So can you say all the people from Kerala are bad people? No. Because they consume beef? No. You
No.
can't say, right?
Yes.
And if you see other states, just going to the north, it's other way around, right, Anushka? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
It's a crime in simple language.
Yeah.
But can you say they are ethical also? No. It depends on the majority. Are you understanding
Yes,
what
sir.
I'm saying, Anushka?
Yes,
So
sir.
actually, ethics of code of conduct is based on the majority, whatever the majority decides. Can I get a double Y in the chat box if you understood whatever the majority decides, students? Because that is very, very, very different and very, very, very high level of skeptical knowledge you need to have. And when you are working with professionals, you need to always observe the culture of that area, what majority does it. So I believe everyone is clear. Correct, no, Anushka? Now, example, Anushka, I
Yes, sir.
told about media ethics in India. Now,
Yes.
in India, it's not ethic. It's just majority accepts. Correct, no, Anushka?
Yes, sir.
But you can't do that in the UK. So, students, and just to come to this question, now the current board, if you observe, they are in a dilemma. Let's assume Noland is not a developed country. Noland is something where in India or something. Correct, Anushka? That can be
Yes.
situation.
Yes.
In that case, is this an ethical issue or business as usual? Business as usual. Are you understanding what I'm saying there, students? Whatever the majority, every board members are corrupted means in every company. I think it is not a self-interest. It has become a norm. Are you understanding what
Yes.
I'm saying there, students? Can I get a double Y in the chat box? Because certain times the examiner will give you a situation where it will be no direct like this. They can give you, we go to, because our international market, we have an opportunity. So understand it very, very, very clearly. Ethics is the code of conduct of the majority. Even if the majority does it wrong, that is still considered is to be what, students? Ethics.
Correct.
Are you clear, right? I believe everyone is clear with what I'm saying, especially the finance students should learn this clearly. Okay. Now, students, I will come to the situation. Firstly, the board is positioned to safeguard the wealth of the shareholders. Correct? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Agree. Therefore, in the case of considering decisions based on their job designation is a breach of objectivity. Objectivity involves this, you will score some marks, making straightforward decision without any self or group bias. Students, I believe it is very clear. Correct, no, students? Yes
Yes,
or no?
sir.
So this is what. Now I am going to complete that what sentence with why, the application to our company. Hottayr, being a listed enterprise, the shareholders possess the duty of care on maximizing the wealth of the investors. Are you understanding that point of view, students? Can I quickly get a confirmation from you all if you are clear with that, students? Wealth
Yes,
of
sir.
the investors. Now, students, I will continue this more in detail, so it will give you the implication. Since if they are doing for their interest in real life, it cannot be considered a good decision. And it may also affect the shareholders' trust, which is the integrity. Are you understanding that, students? Why I mention integrity is my second point is
Second
going
point.
to be why integrity. Students, are you understanding the holistic view of writing? That is once again I'm asking you, because I'm keeping your mind very calm and quiet, and I'm writing the answer, and this is what it is needed. And if you develop this skill, students, you will have a very high level of communication skill in the future. So I'll write down here. Secondly, the integrity is the application of honesty and acting in the best interest of the management. Students, I believe this is giving you a very I can say understandable point of view, best interest of the management. So once again, I'll write down here, in case with deliberate information, with deliberate, what students, with deliberate, I can say with deliberate intention, if the shareholders are acting for them, then there will be an issue. Now, Anushka, let's assume you are a pilot, okay? Or let's
Yes,
assume you
sir.
are an air hostess. Suddenly they are telling we are going through the Pacific Ocean and the petrol is out. So what you will do? Will you fly first or will you send the passengers first and you will fly? What you will jump? What will be your point of view? It's a very challenging, right? I'm
Yes, yes.
practically speaking. Whenever you are traveling in the flight, you just think sometimes what happens, who will help me? Because firstly they'll
Yes,
tell,
sir.
right, the oxygen mask must be wear by the mother first and then only to the child, if I'm
Yes,
not
sir.
mistaken.
Yes, sir.
So is that ethical or unethical? Again, it's again a self-interest at the end of the day. So be very careful, students. It's what the majority accept. It's not what we think. Like in the textbook, it's very different in the practical aspect. So I'm going to move forward with the next sentence, the implication of this. This will have a poor profile value to the board of directors. And sometimes they may not be accepted to practice their profession. Students, are you understanding what I'm saying there, students? They will
Yes,
not be
sir.
accepted to practice their profession. So I'll write down here. So the result in simple language. This will affect their professional behavior and professionalism. Anushka, anyone in this class, can I ask you? I asked this, I did a very honest survey. I asked from y'all, students in your working environment, do you see people with high professional standard or less professional? And honest answer, students, in your working environment, especially, do you get people with high professional standard or low professional standard? What is the proportion? What is the proportion, the mix? Very less no students, if I'm not mistaken. You would have seen so many designation titles, everything they may have. And Anushka, I'm not telling joke, but again, what happens is whatever the majority accept is only considered. Students, I believe everyone is understanding what I'm saying here, because you're going to become an ACMA in future. So when you're becoming an ACMA, you should get adjusted to the majority. That is what is required at the end of the day. So I believe everyone is very, very, very clear at the moment. So
Yes,
I'm going to
sir.
write down the last one, the finally point, which is the professional behavior. So I'm going to write down that. Finally, the professional behavior is the standards and rules followed by an individual professional. So students, I believe this is giving you a better clarity at the moment. So can I continue the sentences so that it will be very clear?
Yes, sir.
The board of directors should always make independent decision. Should always make what? Independent
Independent.
decisions, considering the shareholders' interest. The shareholders' interest. So I will just continue this. I'll write down here. Therefore, in the basic aspects of values and trust, directors may lose the networking ability. Therefore, this will affect the professionalism of the entire board, and they may also face issues from the relative professional body. The relative professional body. Students, are you understanding what I'm saying there? Can I get a confirmation, students, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So I'll just give you a very direct application. In 2015 to 2019, Anushka,
Yes, sir.
the finance minister of Sri Lanka was a fellow member of CIMA.
Mm.
He made one of the biggest fraud in the country. But he's still mentioning FCMA in his name. Then, as members, we mentioned a petition to CIMA. Why didn't you take his membership out?
Yes.
The response of CIMA was very clear that we can't take any responsibility on the domiciles which is other than UK. So we said, okay, fine. Now, when Liz Truss resigned within 100 days, again, no one is raising a petition. She is also a ACMA.
Yes.
And that is lack of professional competence and due care. Why
Yes,
don't
sir.
you remove her title also? Still, again, this is just for the namesake. Can I get a confirmation from your students if you understood when I'm connecting the reality, students, when I'm connecting the reality? This is the truth. And I have one more friend of mine, Anushka, I'll tell you the truth. He made a bad debt of 50,000 Sri Lankan rupees.
Yes.
Currently, it is in Indian context, it is somewhere around 15,000 INR or 12,000 INR.
Mhm.
The bank made a complaint to CIMA that this person is an ACMA person and he has kept a bad debt of 50,000. His lifetime membership was cancelled. So one thing I learned, when you are poor, easily people will take actions.
Actions.
You are
Yes,
rich,
sir.
no one will come forward even to talk to you also. Students, did you understand the economics concept of haves versus the have-nots? So I'm telling you,
Yes, sir.
students, when you are in the poor stage, don't try to show a big picture. Easily they will take everything from you. So come to a standard like the Sri Lankan finance minister or Liz Truss and do all the corruption. Nothing will happen to you. So I believe this is the, I can say, diplomatical way of doing fraud. So I believe everyone got the understanding clearly.
Yes, sir.
So students, just remember, go to the exams very open-minded and you will be able to do it successfully. And don't worry, we will practice a lot of questions and guidance will be given. So I'm going to do a one-to-one doubt session based on the alphabetical order. So I'll start from Anushka. Any questions for the day, Anushka?
No, sir. No questions.
Thank you. Jabal, any questions for the day?
No, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Ifzal, any questions for the day?
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nelum, any questions for the day?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Luke, any questions for the day? Mr. Obey, any questions for the day? Priscilla, any questions for the day?
Yes, sir. Just a quick one.
Yeah.
Just regarding your color coding. So
Yeah.
is it the what, and then the red is the
Yeah.
the
So,
who, and then
yeah, whatever that is in the black color sentence, you don't get any marks, but that is necessary to construct the order. Correct? No, Priscilla, if I'm not mistaken. Yes or
that's
no?
good. Yes, sir.
But you will get the level one only when you are connecting the concept with the relevance to the company. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah. And then once you connect the relevance, you need to observe what can happen in the futuristic manner. That is the consequences.
Okay.
And the results are this one. Now, Anushka, so Priscilla will do a practical analysis. So
Okay.
Priscilla, can you see this stock market, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes,
Correct?
sir, I can see.
Now you see Sampath Bank. Do you see Sampath Bank here? There is something called Sampath Bank Public Limited Company. You can see that,
Yes.
right? Sampath Bank, the highlighted one.
Yes.
The buying sentiment is how much? It is 8.75.
Yes.
That means the demand is very, very low for the
Yes.
stake. So we have observed it. What is very clear, the numbers are what? correct? 8.75.
Yes.
Now we need to identify why there is a very, very low percentage of shares for this. Are you understanding what I'm saying?
Yes.
That
Sir.
means you need to be clear. So I will make it even easier for you to understand. Dilma tea. Now do you see Dilma Ceylon tea? Priscilla, do you see Dilma
Yes.
Ceylon tea?
Yes.
What is the sentiment?
100%.
100%. I'll tell you why. Priscilla, Ceylon tea is one of the popular commodity that is exported to the world. So my question is, Priscilla, anyway, tea during the winter season, heavily
Yes.
consumed or not heavily consumed? Very
Heavily
much.
consumed. Yeah.
So anyway, the stocks will go up. You get what I'm saying? Why it is 100%? During the winter time in the West, tea becomes an inelastic demand. Correct, no, Priscilla, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken.
Yes, that's correct.
So that is the reason it is indirectly saying that if you invest still, you will not lose anything. Are you getting that point of view?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Welcome. So the next person in our class after Priscilla, Reshma. Any questions, Reshma?
No, sir. Thank you, sir.
Welcome. So students, thank you very much for your wonderful time. So I will meet you on our Friday class. Take care, students.
Thank you, sir.
So, sorry, sir, I have a question.
Yeah.
Was this mock exam test, was that on the platform? Because I couldn't see any.
No, I'm not giving any mock test at the moment. I'm making
Okay.
sure you are building your skills at the moment.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.